What's up, guys? Welcome to a unconventional video. I've just built up a lot of really weird and unconventional schematics over the months, and I just wanted to make a video just talking about them because I like schematics. They're fun to me, and yeah, here we go. All right, here's a really weird one I came up with a while ago. This was an oxide-powered cyanogen. I made this a long time ago. This is probably one of my first schematics I was proud of, like how compact it was and everything. Cause I've come up with some really janky schematics. This is like one of the first decent ones I made, but it has a built-in container where you can put it down. And the whole premise with this is that you can send a cyanogen back and forth between here and whatever point you're defending. And the idea is that you didn't have to wire it up, but I ended up never using this idea because, first of all, it's a lot of inputs. You need beryllium and water, and you also need to be able to, like the whole point was to not have to wire cyanogen, but the thing is that you do just with mass drivery. So that's the first one I came up with. All right, here is another schematic I cooked up one of these days. I based it off of the Sire 5X. The Sire one I actually prefer over the Tutter one, even though the Tutter one is slightly better. I think I can find it. Hold up. I prefer the Sire one because it's a little thinner on this axis. Depends on how you place it, but on the the y-axis, at least how I have it placed now, it's a little bit thinner on this axis than the Tutter one. This one is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 wide. The Tutter, I believe, is 11. Even though the Tutter one is shorter lengthwise, this one's shorter height-wise, which, in my opinion, matters more than how long it is. The width matters more than how long it is. However, the whole reason I even made this schematic is because it has a hydrogen tank. The whole story behind this is I've lost games because my hydrogen line got cut out, and I've also beaten other players just by cutting their hydrogen line for their 5X without them noticing. And if you cut this hydrogen line, the entire thing stops working. And you could argue the same thing for beryllium and sand and graphite as well, but that problem isn't as easy to solve. Plus, in addition to that, sand is almost always sourced locally, graphite is almost always sourced locally, and beryllium is also very easy to get readily locally. By locally, I mean in the same hex. But hydrogen, at least for me, I use my chemical combustion chambers for hydrogen. I use these things, and this doesn't produce enough hydrogen, but if you add one more on there, it produces enough hydrogen for this thing. And the problem with this is that arcosite is kind of hit or miss where it spawns, so a lot of the time you'll be using a hydrogen source that isn't in the same hex as the 5X, so if you make a power source outside of the same hex and you lose the hex that the power source is in, you also lose your hydrogen source, meaning this schematic doesn't work anymore. Assuming the hydrogen tank is full, of course. When the hydrogen line is cut, it provides an additional 2.9 minutes of reduction time, which is an additional 19 claroys. In the games that I've beaten other players, but just by cutting their hydrogen line without them noticing, an extra 19 claroys would have won them the game. They would have won the game if they had an extra 19 claroys, but because they didn't notice in time, I was able to build up locuses and take them out. So, all right, here's another one. This is a concept me and Drexium cooked up literally forever ago, and there's a different variant that has hydrogen boosted, and the whole point of this, it has two types of resources built in, which you see on Surf all the time, but you don't see it on Eric here a whole lot. The orbs placement, especially on Eric here, on eviction, is completely randomized, and it's just really hard to do with the walls. And me and Drexium, or I guess mostly me, but came up with a rating system called Playability rating. I'm not going to get into it in this video, but basically the whole point of the whole measurement of a Playability rating is to figure out how placeable a schematic is. The higher the placeability rating, the higher the more you can place, the easier it is to place the schematic. And this schematic doesn't have the highest placeability rating, but it can be justified by the convenience of only having to input graphite, which all it takes is 2 graphite plasma boards, which you usually find in the same hex. And this one kind of defeats the whole purpose of the concept because it has beryllium instant built in, but it needs hydrogen, which kind of defeats the whole purpose of having only 1 input. So this one needs 2 inputs. So I don't really use this one. I always use this one because you only need graphite and power, of course. But all right, here's another crazy schematic concept. Combining the principles of both of the schematics I showed. So this right here, I might go into a whole video on how I designed it because I just love schematic design. Let me know if you do want to see that. I don't know. Well, I'm still on the fence about it. But right here is a schematic that I'm actually really happy with. I think I'm gonna start using it. I haven't played on Eviction that much recently, so I haven't really got a chance to pull this out in a game yet. So we'll see. But basically, this is a schematic that you can place this. This can place this on tungsten and graphite, or you can place it on tungsten and beryllium, and then it automatically sorts the atoms for you. So it doesn't really matter how you place it, where you place it. The biggest thing is that one of the inputs has to be tungsten. Now, I think the reason why a design like this has never been seen before is because it's kind of expensive. It's definitely more expensive than your typical 5X. If I pull up the Tutter one real quick. And it's bigger. It's a lot bigger. Yeah, this is the Tutter one. This is considered to be the best 5X on the market right now. But, so this is, the reason I think this concept's never really been done before is because it's more expensive. It uses an extra E-heater. It uses an extra large bore, which is 25 oxide plus another 30, which is 30, I can't math right now, 55 additional oxide that you ideally don't want to be using unless like you're kind of later game. The schematic is designed to be a later game. Once you already have a big economy, once you already have a decent amount of unit fabricators, the whole point of this is to be a time saver. It's a really interesting concept, honestly. I'm really impressed I got it to be so small. The bores are designed to be able to be rotated. I took that from Bleeding Edge. That's the concept he came up with, being able to rotate the bores. So I intentionally kind of have the bores sticking out. I can move them back in, but the E-heater would be in the way. It has 1x avert. It needs to be 1x avert because a boosted plasma board doesn't mine enough beryllium for 5x, but averts don't use beryllium, so it works out. So that's why there's 1x avert. Plus, 1x avert is actually kind of nice sometimes, just because having averts at your disposal means you can snipe targets that are more vulnerable that ground units aren't usually capable of getting to. If you do choose to place this on tungsten and graphite, you don't need to input graphite, obviously, so all you need to do is input beryllium here. Or if you do choose to place it on tungsten and beryllium instead, you just input graphite up here instead. So here's some really crazy schematics I designed one day. So I was watching a Googly Goo video, and I got really inspired by his schematics were so multi-purpose and they did everything. And I'm like, I wonder if I can make that work for Eric here. And that's how these schematics were born. They're kind of terrible. I never I tried to use them and I realized there was a lot of problems with them. But I figured I'd share them because they're kind of funny. So right here, this is the first iteration of this tree. This is the first iteration. So it's a 4x Claroi, and one of them goes into an anthe. So I guess 3x Claroi, 1 anthe. It produces carbide. And it has nitrogen built in, and it has the built-in Titan, because, of course, if you have thorium and hydrogen, you might as well have a Titan too, of course, because why the frick not? And the whole idea of this is that you build one schematic, and it builds up your economy, and it gives you a ton of units at the same exact time, kind of kills 2 birds with 1 stone. This isn't a new concept. For example, this is a old schematic built by YSM. This is old. This is not a new It's not a new concept, but I wanted to take it a little bit further, see how far I can take it. I realized with this one, I wanted surge in my build order, so I included surge in here, which had the downside of me having to take out nitrogen, meaning there's one more input I had to put in here. So I just scrapped the T3 altogether. So I went on to worry about nitrogen or thorium, which definitely helped with the inputs. And I have this, which produces surge, carbide, and ozone bombs, which I use a lot when I have them. Over here, I have another ridiculously insane schematic. I have a Titan chain output right here, so if I want, I can output just a crap ton of Titan chains. I have a luster, have another Titan, because why the frick not? It produces power, it produces phase, why the heck not? And yeah, it's not my best work, but I wanted to play with the idea and see where it led me. And this is the next schematic I have so this is a 3x obviate, this is a 2x avert and 1x obviate, this is a 3x obviate. Obviates are great endgame, so that was the whole premise of this. I have pyros for power. Science, this just produces every exotic resource in the game, I think, as carbide, cyanogen, literally only for defense. Like there's no use of cyanogen inside a schematic, which I use cyanogen a lot. Have phase and surge, so this literally produces every single exotic material in the game and produces power and produces obviates. The whole reason I stopped with this. Oh, this also has a Titan chain output too, which is pretty nice. The whole reason I stopped with this schematic idea is it just took me way too long to build and wire. Like the entire time I was building it, like I'd be using usually 2 build towers. The entire time I was building it, I'd just be wiring stuff up the whole time, and it was just so slow. If I really committed to get it down to muscle memory, memorize the inputs, memorize everything, and just really worked on decreasing my wiring time, I could probably use 4 build towers and get it done really quick. But the problem is that I need a huge eco for that, and it's just the whole thing. Which is why I stopped using them. But not to say these schematics are completely unusable. Oh, and also being able to place them is also the other huge limiting factor. If they were easier to place, like in your hex, like right in front of the core, so that way the Titan actually does something for your core. Same thing with these schematics. I designed them so you can place them in your score, but in front of your core, but you rarely ever can place them where you ever want them to. So I think that's like just the thing that just really killed the schematic concept. I have more, but I kind of out of time at the moment. So we'll see if I make another one of these videos one day. We'll see. I have a ton more just ridiculously insane schematics. Sorry for all the background noise in this video, by the way. If you made it to this part of the video, honestly, great. I'm not gonna put that much work into editing this video. Honestly, it's just like a stupid video I wanted to make. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see ya.